Hello, welcome back, guys, to the second episode of the Tiger Pride Podcast. I'm your host, Isaiah.
I'm your host, Ashley.
And today we'll be recapping the 2024 election and everything that happened since then. So, if you've been living under a rock, you probably don't know that Donald Trump won the presidential election and Kamala Harris lost. Not what we predicted.
Yeah.
But we thought that she was going to have a very good chance, a good little victory, but it didn't happen. But first, let's talk about, the electoral votes. He won 312, she won 226, and he won by 2 million votes. Now, what I thought, did you
that
think?
was what I thought was going to happen, and it's crazy to see it play out again, like what happened with Hillary. See it all come back around is really insane. But she still only lost by 2 million votes when she started campaigning 3 months before. So it was very monumental. She still did an amazing job.
Yeah, I think so too. We were sitting down, we watched the entire election, probably up to 1, 2 o'clock in the morning, and it's crazy how I came into election night very optimistic, very hopeful of what could possibly happen, and that didn't happen. But I will say though, because this was the first election that I was probably the most engaged.
Yeah, for sure.
Really was trying to understand what's going on, who's could possibly win, and not just even the presidential races, the Senate races, the gubernatorial races, the congressional races, and it was kind of a sad night for the Democrats. Some historic wins, with Angela Also Brooks from Maryland.
Yes.
The first African American woman to win the Senate seat in Maryland, Lisa Blunt Rochester, I believe. In Delaware, the first African American woman to win the Senate seat there. In Delaware, also the first open trans woman was elected to Congress. So we did have some historic wins. Not the one that we wanted,
but hey.
But yeah, it was a little sad. I honestly, I was just losing hope every hour.
Yeah.
I was losing hope every hour because I started seeing everything come into play, with all the votes being counted and all the electoral votes being counted, and kind of just not seeing a path for her.
Yeah.
And I think I knew that she pretty much lost around, I think, when they called Pennsylvania for Trump, because there was no way for her to win. Almost, she had to win and she didn't even win a single swing state. She didn't win any of them, and I was just sitting there how is this possible?
Which is insane because so many predictions came out that she was gonna win.
That she was gonna win
at least 4.
Right. So I'm what happened? Where did the messaging
Were we just in an echo chamber?
Right.
Because there was so much support I thought that came out, and I guess it just wasn't really there.
And with the Senate races, here in Ohio, we lost our seat to Bernie Moreno. Sherrod Brown lost his seat. 18 years as a senator. So we're talking a long...
Longer than I've been alive.
We're talking about an incumbent that's been in his seat for a very long time and got kicked out of his seat. And it was just crazy because I remember when I seen the race get called, and I called you, I'm like, bro.
Oh my gosh, that was so crazy.
We just lost the seat.
I think that's when I really knew, that Kamala, I don't know why, but everything just hit me. I was like, oh, Kamala might not win this.
Right, because I'm usually the Senate races and the governor races and stuff like that, they play a big part in, what states are going to be called. And what states are going to win, or what states that the presidential candidates are going to win. Mm-hmm. And I'm looking at these races, I'm like, we're hanging on. We're hanging on.
I was blue wall.
And one thing I will say, though, that was so interesting is a lot of people split their tickets, which was very interesting. You had, a state like North Carolina that Trump won, but Josh Stein of North Carolina, he won the Democratic governor race. And then you have Slotkin of Michigan, who won the Senate race, and she's a Democrat, but Kamala Harris lost that state. So you have a lot of states where people were choosing Democratic senators and Democratic governors.
Splitting the ticket is not a good idea.
But we were losing the presidential race in those states. So it was just crazy to see, it's very, this electorate is very divided. We're very divided. And it showed in the election.
I don't think people even understand that if you split the ticket, your governor, whoever you elected as a Democrat, they're less likely to be able to carry out what they want to do.
And that's one thing, that's a criticism I have for people who did split their tickets. I mean, your vote is your vote. You vote for who you believe will be the best for you, and I really can't argue that with you. But
right.
There was some criticism from me for people who split their tickets, because when you're voting for a Democratic senator, and then you're voting for a Republican president, if you know how government works, that doesn't make any sense. You're basically saying you're saying that you want someone who is basically going to make legislation for me, and then saying that we want a Republican president to block it. You know what I'm saying? So it doesn't really make any sense.
But you said that if you know how government works, they probably don't know how government works.
Right.
We don't have a lot of educated voters. I think I really saw that with this election. I was like, oh, okay. So a lot of people just don't know
right,
what it is.
How everything works. Yeah, and I will say that throughout the night, even though everything happened, going into the next day, I will say we did feel like a little we were going through it.
We were.
We were going through it because that day that we found out everything and we came back to school, and we kind of just hey, we don't want to talk to nobody. Nobody.
I don't want to look at nobody.
I don't look at nobody. I don't want to talk to somebody, because losing an election is pretty it weighs on everybody. And especially,
I think you could definitely tell in the building, everyone's heads were our heads were kind of down. Everyone was very quiet. You could definitely tell.
It was most definitely a true loss for us. And we were pretty much, hurting, for sure. So, I mean, I know how I felt. I know how a couple of my peers felt, family members felt. It was truly a loss for us. And then especially the night, or even I think the morning, when Kamala's, I think, campaign co-chair came out and told the people at Howard that she wasn't gonna be able to speak. That's usually when you know, okay, this candidate is probably not gonna win. And for me, I was sad for her, that night, and going into that next morning, I was like, I can only imagine how she's feeling right now.
Yeah, I think we all really felt for her, and I just want if I could tell her, I would be like you did not lose, we failed you.
Right.
So sorry, but she worked so hard and she did so much in only 3 months, and that's monumental. She did what she could do.
Right, and I keep telling she's already historic. No matter loss, win in this election,
no one can take that away from her.
She's done a lot, and I congratulate her on her victory, and Sherrod Brown too, who lost his seat, but 18 years in the Senate, that is amazing, and he's done so much. So I mean,
especially for education,
right?
He's definitely one of the biggest drivers in Ohio for that.
Yes. So I mean, everybody, I congratulate on both sides. You won fair and square.
Mm-hmm.
You lost fair and square. But everyone, they did their jobs, and just congratulate them on both ends. But that day, I think it was that Wednesday, Kamala Harris made her concession speech, and I have actually two quotes right here. She says, "My allegiance to all three is why I'm here to say, while I concede this election, I do not concede the fight that fueled this campaign. The fight for freedom, for opportunity, for fairness, and for the dignity of all people. A fight for the ideals at the heart of our nation. The ideals that reflect America at our best. That is a fight I will never give up." This quote, to me,
I cried.
When I heard her say it, it truly was a moment of okay, we're not finished. We're not done. Even though we lost this election, we still have stuff we're fighting for. This is not a moment to be, sad or, just not willing to do more. It was a moment of okay, even though we lost, we can still, keep fighting for the things that we want to fight for, as with reproductive freedoms.
Yes.
All the other things that she has campaigned on in the last 3-4 months, there's still some fight left in us, And
I definitely think that's what everyone needed to hear in that moment.
Right.
Yeah.
And she also said, quote, "You have power, and don't you ever listen when anyone tells you something is impossible because it has never been done before. Mm-hmm. This is not a time to throw up our hands. This is a time to roll up our sleeves." And when I heard this, and the crowd cheer. It's rich because Kamala Harris is a woman who has done more in history in politics for women. She's done a lot. The first woman to be elected in the highest office in the land, one of the highest offices in the land. So she's telling the younger generation, because she was speaking to a lot of Gen Z people. She's speaking to them saying, just because I lost this election,
don't give up.
one day there will be a woman who will be able to reach that point. And it kind of reminded me of the concession speech of Hillary Clinton when she made the analogy of breaking the highest ceiling that it hasn't been done yet. And it kind of shows, if we want to see a woman in the highest office in the land, it will take times of disappointment of, losing an election, but it will happen. And, one of you guys will be able to do it, or somebody else will be able to do it. But somebody's going to be able to accomplish that feat. And we have to just keep fighting for what we want.
Me too.
Yeah, and I will say, though, for me, concession speeches are always the best speeches, I think. I think they're even better than victory speeches, because concession speeches require you to be able to unite your party with the next president. Basically telling your party, it's going to be okay, even though we didn't win. Now it's time to move on and basically congratulate the person who won, and kind of move on forward from that. It really is a speech that requires you to have some humility, because you lost. You have to kind of have to meet with the fact that, okay, I lost. I have to congratulate the person, and I have to tell my party it's going to be okay, but we're going to move on forward from this. And I think she did a really good job by doing that. I think this was her best speech throughout the entire election cycle. This is one of her best speeches she ever given. And and I think it was also amazing to see her behind her alma mater.
Yeah.
It was amazing.
And that part where she walked away with a freedom playing in the background. Oh my gosh.
Everything
was beautiful.
was intentional. Like everything was intentional. Like when she walked off to the song Freedom, which her campaign's basically been all about freedom, the freedom to have rights.
Not going back.
Like she is really, adamant about, we're going to keep fighting. No matter if I lost or if I didn't, like we're going to keep fighting for what I believe in, what everybody else believes in. So, yeah, and we have to talk about after the concession speech, everything that's happened since then. You have Donald Trump, president-elect, who is now, he actually has already done it, but made cabinet picks, cabinet nominations. We have a couple here. So you got one Vice President J.D. Vance, who's a part of his cabinet, but he's an elected official, so he doesn't need Senate confirmation. But now you have Marco Rubio of Florida. He's a senator, Secretary of State. A little controversial, but he's going to get approved by the Senate because he's pretty favorable between the Republicans, so he's going to get confirmed. But he does a little bit have some controversial things about him, because back in 2016, when he was running against Trump for office, he made a couple comments about how Trump wasn't fit to be president, how he shouldn't be in the Oval Office at all. But he kind of over time just fell into the loyalist category of.
I feel like that
Trumpers.
happens a lot. It happened with J.D. Vance, because originally he said that Trump was like Hitler, and now he's his vice president. So
yeah, and it kind of shows some of these people don't have the morality to really hold these offices, because if you're saying that someone is so bad and then
turning it all the way
around, and then you have Attorney General. So at first, this happened about 3 weeks ago, Trump announced that he was nominating Matt Gaetz, one of the most hated people in Congress.
That was definitely a pick.
You understand how hated that you have to be on both sides. No one likes you on both sides, not your Republican colleagues, not your Democratic colleagues. No one likes you. And it shows that Trump is very unserious, because if you want people to get approved and you want people in these offices that are going to get the job done, or who knows the office You want to pick people who are serious, and choosing Matt Gaetz, a person who never practiced law. He is a lawyer, but he never practiced law before. He's a one-term congressman. It wasn't a serious pick, but we talked about it. He nominated after Matt Gaetz had resigned from accepting the nomination. He chose Pam Bondi. Pam Bondi, who is a Florida attorney general, a former Florida attorney general. But it shows that there's some sexism, because
misogyny, definitely for sure, because that should have been his first pick.
It should have been his first pick. If you're talking about a one-term congressman hated
by everybody,
House and Senate, hated by everybody, and then because he chose Pam Bondi within like a day, that means he's ready to choose.
So why even pick him?
Right. So, and you have someone like Pam Bondi, who is a lawyer, who actually a lawyer, a prosecutor, and she was the Florida Attorney General. So she was in.
At least she knows what she's doing.
She knows that job. She knows, and mind you, Florida is no small state. It's a very big state, so she knows how to handle that office on a bigger scale. And he could have chose her, but it shows there's a little bit of misogyny for sure.
You got the Secretary of Defense.
Yes, Pete. I don't even know him.
I can't pronounce his
I don't even know him because I haven't really done a lot of research on him. But I do know for sure that I still think that's a very unserious pick. He was a Fox News host, and you are putting him in charge of the Pentagon, over 3 million workers.
That is insane.
The Secretary of Defense, the Secretary of War, the person who the president keeps in contact with every single day about anything that has to do with the armed forces, the military, and
it's just so important.
That's a very high job, and the people said on the right, he served in the military.
It's not enough. He's replacing a 4-star general.
Right, and it's like, just because I done something doesn't make me qualified to, just because.
Just because I'm a student in the school doesn't make me qualified to be Secretary of Education.
Right. Yeah. Just because I know algebra doesn't make me qualified to be a math teacher. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Just because you advocate on some issues that involve that department doesn't make you qualified to be the head of that department. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So yeah, I don't think he's serious. He's actually going through a lot right now because of his misogynistic comments about women being on the field, on the grounds.
Yes.
He doesn't want
women to be on the grounds. I don't even understand why that needed to be talked about or stated.
Yeah, he stated
all.
multiple times that during his time in the military, he came to the conclusion himself that he feels like women should not be serving on the grounds, on the battlefield, and that's going to cost him because he's actually right now, which is ironic, he's trying to get Senate confirmation. He's trying to make sure everybody's going to confirm him. He's going to have enough people to confirm him.
I don't think this was a time to take a controversial take.
He's talking to one of the people he has to talk to confirm him is a Republican senator who served in the military. So how are you going to get her to confirm him when you made comments about her people who've served in the military and who've served on the battlefield? How do you want to? It shows. He
does not know his audience.
Yeah, it comes back to bite you in the butt because you made so many crazy comments and he stands on them comments to this day. Which is how you want to get her to confirm you?
And even in addition to that, Donald Trump himself has stated he would like to make a warrior board to get rid of generals that are woke. Is that really a problem? I don't even understand what that even means.
I don't know what he means, but looking at these, and look, the Secretary of Homeland Security, Kristi Noem, a puppy killer. Governor of South Dakota. I don't really know too much about her, but I know she killed her puppy.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. She said it in her book. She killed her puppy. What do we?
I feel like if there's a limit we should take, that's the limit.
It's so funny because it's so ironic though. The Secretary of Homeland Security killing puppies. We want a puppy killer being the head of security for the United States of America, and you got the Secretary of Defense nominee who doesn't want women on the battlefield. Ironic, you know what I'm saying? Attorney General Matt Gaetz, he was found there was a sex.
He's a sex offender.
Yeah, sex offender.
Oh, well, he's currently under investigation by the FBI
right.
for human trafficking and 17-year-old.
All these picks are very just like crazy. And then Director of Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard, who was a former Democrat, is now serving on a Republican administration. And people are scared for her being in charge of intelligence, because we're talking about cybersecurity. We're talking about like basically anything that has to do with the internet. Like she's going to be in charge of, and like
the qualifications aren't
right.
They're
not matching. She's a United States representative, former United States representative, who ran for the presidential nomination back in 2020. But she lost. Like she didn't make it to Iowa. So like qualified, I don't really know. You can make that. And then this one, oh my God, the biggest one of them all.
Secretary of Education.
Linda McMahon. I don't even know her name, but
oh my gosh, the WWE
founder. She founded WWE. And we're saying
like,
that.
where are these pigs coming from? Like where did they come from?
It's like he's grabbing people from random, like WWE.
Like,
we'll make you the Secretary of Education.
Like, but like, where did it come from? Like, I need to know.
I don't know, and it goes back to the point of just because you are advocate on a certain issue doesn't make you qualified to be a head of an executive department. She's very she advocates on school choice, which is something that Donald Trump likes. School choice, the ability for parents to be able to send their kids to educations, not based on zip code, but based on if the school is good or and I just because you advocate on that issue.
Like, I mean, I love that, but like,
yeah, like there were so many other qualified people who probably could have had this position, but yeah, I mean, Trump also made an historic pick, I guess.
I'm sorry.
For Susie Wiles, the chief of staff, the first woman to hold this position. I mean, yeah, it is remarkable in that point. But we also have to talk about the lack of diversity in his cabinet too. I kind of noticed.
It's also very notable.
Yeah, pretty much all white people in his cabinet. I mean, mind you, I wouldn't even talk about the diversity if these picks were qualified people
or good.
Yeah,
or just,
like if it were qualified people, I'll probably be like, okay, okay.
This makes sense.
Probably could have used some more diversity in the cabinet, but okay. But you have some of the most craziest, weirdest people in your cabinet, and then on top of that, your cabinet's not even diverse. You know what I'm saying? Then you got people like Senator Tim Scott, who didn't get no position, who basically was just like, I don't know. I can't even say it because it's not appropriate to say it on this podcast. But we're just just constantly just like talking so high about him and saying, he but then you get no job.
Sorry.
And I think the only African American he put on his cabinet was the Secretary of Housing and Urban Development. Housing and urban development.
Interesting.
He made the Secretary of Housing and Urban Development an African American, which literally for the past multiple secretaries of housing and urban development, they're all been African Americans, because all African Americans know about housing and urban development.
Okay, why do you keep on saying it like that?
Because it's so. At the end of the day, it's so like demeaning. Like, why? You know what I'm saying? Like,
sorry.
You know what I'm saying? Housing and urban development. But anyways.
I think another person we should bring up is his Secretary of Health and Services,
Robert
Jr.
Oh yeah, Robert F. Kennedy Jr.
Who is a non-vacciner.
Yeah, which
is an interesting take to make.
So, I think I can't remember when he announced his campaign, but he was running for president originally, and there were some things about Robert F. Kennedy Jr. that I really like. He talked a lot about the food. In America,
no more Red 40.
Yeah, the unhealthiness of America, but there are some things that are controversial that people like. But I do think he's going to get confirmed. He's not a He's not like a Pete or a Matt Gaetz. You know, I think he can get confirmed in the Senate. But people have the controversial takes on RFK Jr. about some of the things that like some of the policy.
Yeah, he's not my favorite, but I'm on his job, so.
Yeah. So I mean, I believe he can get confirmed. Who knows?
I believe most of these people will.
Yeah.
But
some of these people can, but some are on they're on thin ice.
Linda,
I don't really know.
I don't know.
I don't know about Linda, WWE CEO. I don't know if she's.
I don't know how that's relevant, but.
Yeah, but we also want to talk about Joe Biden's appointments. He made a couple appointments.
Recently.
Yeah, he appointed a lot of federal judges.
I believe over 30.
Yeah.
And they're all black.
All African American, qualified African Americans. That's gotta say that qualified. They're qualified African Americans. They're not DEI hires. That a lot of
everyone likes to throw off.
Yeah, during the election they talked a lot about DEI hires and people not being black.
And now it's getting thrown away.
Yeah. So we have qualified African Americans who are appointed to the federal judges. The Senate is confirming them like that, like crazy.
Because they're qualified.
Yeah, and this is good because he want to put some judges on these courts because, especially with the Supreme Court not looking too good in our favor, we want to have some form of checks and balances, like some forms of,
because if you think about
giving him all of this power. Because when Trump comes in, he's about to because Justice Sotomayor, she's on the verge of probably retiring.
He's definitely going to replace her. And we have another 50 years of Republican Supreme Court.
Yes, and we can have them on the courts for a long time. So
that's a whole lifetime.
So I'm glad that Biden is making the decision to start confirming these judges, these Democratic judges, so because we at least can have some form of, okay, even though the Supreme Court is not looking too good, we have a nice federal court justice system where, not everything is going to be just crazy,
I think it's good to see that, especially with how the Republicans won every single everything. They won the presidency, House, the Congress.
We didn't even talk about that. We didn't talk about that. The Republicans won the Senate. They won the House. They won the presidency.
That was
the Supreme Court is looking like majority Republicans. Is actually insane. And we're talking about almost unfettered power for Donald Trump. The House, actually, I read something. I didn't talk to you about it, but I read something that was very interesting. In the House races, I think it's 220 Republicans, 215 Democrats. We need 218 majority to have majority of the House. In North Carolina, though, there are some gerrymandered congressional districts, which cause 3 congressional districts to go to the Republicans. And if the Democrats would have had those seats, they would have majority of the House, and Hakeem Jeffries would have been the Speaker.
We forgot to mention issue 1.
Issue 1, oh yeah.
That did not pass, but there will be another issue. Because there's been 8 before. We will have more issues passed for gerrymandering.
Issue 1 did not get passed, mainly because of probably the ballot language. It wasn't that good, but I can see in the future it could possibly get
We've had so many tries, but eventually it will pass.
It will pass for sure, and we also got to talk about the Senate seat in Ohio. It's gone since J.D. Vance is about to be vice president. We're about to have an open seat, which means that the governor of Ohio is about to make he's about to appoint someone on that seat. I don't know who it's going to be. People are saying either Frank LaRose, I think he's the Secretary of State. People are saying...
there's been a lot of speculation.
Yeah. He's probably going to appoint some Republican on the seat. They only have like 2 years left, then they have to run election again. And I heard in Florida that since Mark Rubio, if he gets confirmed, someone is going to be open seat in Florida. And then people are talking about Donald Trump's daughter-in-law running for Senate.
Interesting.
Or being appointed to Senate, because Ron DeSantis have to appoint somebody for the remainder of the term, however much longer Mark Rubio had. But that shows, hey, when you're in a higher office, you can do stuff like that. Get your daughter or your son in the Senate like that. But it also goes to to this point, or to this something that just happened recently, Joe Biden pardoned his son,
Which,
and it's been a lot of pearl clutching.
sorry.
There's been a lot of pearl clutching on both sides, actually, which I found very interesting. Some people are mad about the decision that Joe Biden made to pardon his own son, which is kind of funny because it's like anybody in that position
Would have done that.
would have done that.
Not only that, we have a whole felon
Right.
coming in.
I would have done that. And that's,
office.
oh my God, that's what I was saying too. I think nobody on the right
Anyone who voted for Donald Trump
can be mad
have
at
no
Joe
right.
Biden for pardoning his son.
You
because
have no
my
right.
thing is, ever since we elected Trump, you know, you just elected a criminal.
An actual one.
To be mad that the president has used his given power, because that is the power that the president is given to be able to pardon whoever he wants. He pardoned his son, but we're mad about that and clutching our pearls. But we just elected a criminal, and mind you, not one count, not 34 counts. So he's not even just like your typical criminal. He's 34 counts. That means that he is just lawless. He's just lawless. So we're mad about him pardoning his son, but no,
like it's not.
We just don't care about. You know what I'm saying? So
Anybody
and my
would've
thing
done
is,
it.
why would Biden leave his son? In the Justice Department when Trump is coming in.
You're leaving it in the enemy's hands.
Right,
Like,
you leaving it in enemy's hands. He has a bunch of crazy people who have to be the head of executive departments. I mean, I wouldn't leave my son or my daughter in the hands of Trump.
and not only that, the moment Donald Trump steps into office, every person that got convicted for January 6th,
Right.
they're getting pardoned.
And
so it's not even.
My thing is, people are mad because throughout the years, ever since his son got some of these allegations and stuff like that, he hasn't done anything like on the magnitude of what Trump has done. I think he got caught with a gun that wasn't registered.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. It is against the law, but we're comparing that to allegations of sexual assault. Like there's a difference. You know what I'm saying? And people are mad because Joe Biden said that he wouldn't pardon his son. For a good amount of time, he was saying, the news reporters was like going, asking him. He's like, no, I'm not going to pardon my son. I'm not going to interfere with the Justice Department and like that. I'm not going to interfere with that. And then he makes the decision. About a week ago, saying he's going to pardon his son, and people are like, oh my God, you lied to us. Like, hold on,
Come
chill.
on.
You got to think. A lot of stuff has happened between
Right.
what happened and now. I mean, why should I follow the rules when
This dude's not gonna follow the rules.
Why should I, and mind you, it's his decision. Like, why are you
He has the constitutional right to do that.
And mind you, Donald Trump, he was pardoning everybody. In his term, he was pardoning everybody. And if you agreed with him, or if you were a loyalist and you had crazy, he just pardon. No, just get and we didn't say anything about that. We wasn't talking about all the people that he pardoned. He pardoned some people with crazy allegations, crazy things, and then he gave his I believe his father-in-law a nice little comfy job. I think the ambassador of France.
Oh my God.
A nice little comfy job, and we don't talk. And mind you, people are saying that Biden is abusing his power as president. He's abusing his power. Like no, not everybody has a father that can just wave his hand and all your criminal charges are gone. Well, Donald Trump's father-in-law,
He's not even qualified. Well,
right.
that's
First
like
of
a
all,
trend.
one, he's a criminal too. He pardoned him. They gave him a nice little comfy job as ambassador to France. We're talking about a job, a 6-figure job. But no, he's not abusing his powers as president. You know what I'm saying? So like, it really is. I feel like there has been a lot of heat and a lot of mind you, unnecessary, like throwing rocks towards Biden. And it's kind of sad because Biden has been serving for almost 50 years.
He's
And it's kind of like the way he's going out is like, why are we like?
Yeah, but it's kind of with a bang though. Like
they kind of kicked the Democratic Party kind of kicked him out of it's like kicked him out of running for re-election. And then, you know, all this stuff going on with him being old, like people making fun of him on the news, and then, you know, he pardoned his son. Everybody just like, you know, I think he made the best decision. I think.
Me too. I would have done the same exact thing.
Like y'all didn't dog me all year. I'm about to pardon my son.
Call me old.
Right, I'm about to pardon my son. Like, what are we doing? So, I mean, it's just crazy to think. I mean, we have like about a month almost until, you know, the next, you know, president, vice president comes into office.
It's
Gonna be a lot.
We'll see.
To be honest, I'm not ready. I'm not ready to see.
Me neither.
I'm not ready to see what's going to happen. But you know, right now Biden is still president. Kamala Harris is still vice president.
We'll get some more updates, and
right.
maybe he'll make some more moves.
And I think we can't, again, clutch our pearls. Not yet until he actually comes into office. You know, even though he's saying he's going to do all this,
all these things, especially with the tariffs,
it's not going to happen until it happens.
Yes.
So
be prepared, but
yeah, you know, just chill out. You know, be cool. But you know, I will stay aware, stay updated, stay informed, because just because we're saying, you know, chill out, but do stay, you know. Stay informed because you don't want something to happen. Like, I didn't know that was going to happen, or you know. But then you find out, he said that about 2 months ago he was going to do this. You know what I'm saying? And with him, basically, he has a lot of power now with everybody. You know, Senate,
no checks and balances.
House,
basically,
everybody. You know, basically Republicans in the majority. You know, there's a lot of things he's going to get done that he says he's going to get done. So, yeah.
We shall see.
We shall see. But yeah. Thank you for watching this video. The second episode is done. But stay tuned. The third episode, we have a special guest from Tri-C who's coming to speak with us. And yeah, thank you.
Thank you for watching.